There we go. Good morning, everybody. Oh, it's the black one. It doesn't, yeah, whatever. Close enough. Hey, everybody. How you doing today? Last little bit of scramble setup here, as usual, because, you know, it's what we do. Couldn't possibly be ready on time. That'd be. It's happened. It has happened, but it's not the norm. Let's just leave it at that. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? Hope you're having a lovely Friday. Our air is actually breathable today. Well, it was this morning. I don't think it's starting to go downhill already, but how exciting is that? I was actually able to go for a run for the first time in like 3 weeks. Oops, that's the wrong button. Which was very, very nice to be able to do. It's, oh yeah, Ryan's asking what it looks like on my national. That's a good idea. If I wasn't busy trying to do something else on the computer, I'd look that up. But we will do that momentarily. I think that is a fabulous idea. Let me just get something loaded up here. It is, yes, you may leave the page. Well, that ain't right. Huh, okay. Ryan, the link that's to the Aputure light is not the right one, because this is pulling up some much more expensive, weird, I don't know what the heck this thing is. What is this? This is not, here, you guys tell me, what is this light? That is not the one that I reviewed a couple weeks ago. Built-in battery, looks like, I mean, the description looks right, but the price is not right. In that case, there's something weird about that case. No, they wouldn't have boosted the price. That is something weirdly different. Huh, okay, well, let me, well, I guess we're just gonna start a little bit extra late while I figure this one out, because that link was supposed to be the product that I needed, but that is not right. So, Aputure AL-M9, what was that little light called? Maybe I can just find it with Aputure AL-M9. See, we're totally ready for the show. Yeah, you know how it is. There it is. AL-M9, got it. All right, now I got it. All right. So don't click on the link down below right now. I mean, you by all means figure out why that one is 3 times the cost, which is a complete mystery to me. But that's okay. All right, we're doing a little side-by-side comparison here. Let's get these two lights up. There we go. There we go. And there we go. Perfect. 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 Okay, that's looking good. That's good. Let's oops, hide the bookmarks. Hide the bookmarks. Makes it look nice and pretty. Okay. So. All right, cool. I think we're ready to go. Are you guys ready? I'm ready. You're ready? Ryan's ready? We're all ready? Ryan, hit record over there, will you? Let's get this road on the show, or whatever the heck it is we say around here. It's the biz showness. I don't know. Hi. We recording? We are. On today's show, we're going to take a look at this little pocket-sized Sokani light, which is going to look mightily familiar to many of you. Good morning and welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, the first live 3 times a week show here at youtube.com/PhotoJoseph every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you didn't know that, at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, we are live. Right here, this show is live. It's recorded live, which means if you are in the live chat room, you can participate in the chat, you can ask questions, you can hopefully get answers. Sometimes I make up answers. It's always, you know, either educational or entertaining. That's the 2 things that I can promise. Okay, maybe entertaining is a stretch, but we try. We do try. We try to educate. We try to have a little bit of fun on here. We try to talk about fun gear that comes my way. Now, a week, 2, 3 weeks, sometime recently, I'll link to it right up here, I did a kind of first look reviewish thing of this little Aputure light. That's Aputure, A-P-U-T-U-R-E, Aputure light. The AL-M9 was an AL-M9. This little guy, I loved it. This thing is so cool. It's a really nice, tiny little pocket-sized, super bright little LED light. USB rechargeable. This thing, well, it comes with a little pouchy like this. You can drop it in. It comes with some color gels and other things in there. And off you go. It's a great little light. You can mount it on your camera. You can, put it on a light stand or whatever. Whatever. It's a light. It's a cool, cute, little pocket-sized portable light. Nice. And then shortly after that review, a company called Sokani reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to do a video about our light? I said, sure, why not? So they sent it out. And it's remarkable how similar things are. I mean, theirs is red, the other one's not. Very similar looking. We're gonna do some direct comparisons here, but it's a very, very similar setup. Front magnetic attachments for the diffusion panels. It's like it's a knockoff. Let's call it what it is. It's a knockoff. But to their credit, they have tried to up it a level. They've tried to take it up a level. In some areas they've succeeded, in some not so much. So before we go anything else, let's take a look at the price side by side, because that is obviously a major point. The Aputure light is $45. The Sokani one is $49. So we'll call it the same. $4 difference, whoop-de-doo. We'll call it the same price. So they are comparably priced. So that's good, right? So all right, so we're off on the right start there. When I first pulled this light out, first impression, it has a really nice build quality, the Sokani one. It's metal. Can you hear that? It's metal as opposed to plastic, which does mean it's heavier. And we're going to actually look and see how much heavier it is. It is a heavier light, but it has a really nice feel to it. Now let's take a look at the close-up here. You can see it's got this, nicely screwed in. The edges are nicely smooth, and it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's like an Apple product type good, but it has a very nice build feel to it. So that's great. We like good quality products, so it feels like it's going to last for a while. So that's great. It has, interestingly, let's do a little top down here. It has more LED lights than the Aputure. So that's the Aputure and that's the Sokani. And we're going to talk more about the LED lights themselves, but there are more on here. So there's 9 on this, and that's 3 by, I think it's 7. Yeah, so 21 on this one. So you have more LEDs there. Kind of curious. It comes with the same type of deals for the covers. You got a magnetic cover diffuser for both of these. This is kind of interesting. I don't know why that would be. The Aputure one has holes in it. I don't know if there's no lights behind it, so it's not losing any diffusion. I don't know if it's a cooling thing or what. Just interesting. The diffusion panel on this one is solid. And then this one, the Sokani actually comes with a color temperature orange, a CTO magnetic diffusion panel, which I'll say the Aputure one did it. It comes with a color gel that you can put in between. It comes with an orange and a blue one, but it doesn't have a separate plastic diffusion panel. So, if anything, I would call it kind of a win for the Sokani. That's kind of nice. Okay, so we've got those two things there. So size, bigger, heavier. Let's take a look at the weight. Let's actually do that's kind of fun. I actually brought out a little scale here so we could do a side by side. Let's turn that thing on. This is in grams. If you want to know it in ounces, you can do the conversion. So we're going to start with the Aputure one. Weighs in at a whopping 62.4 grams. And in the right corner, we have 101.5. Is that right? I thought it was heavier than that. Put that on there again. 101.5, there you go. So it is most definitely a bit heavier. As I said, it's made of metal as opposed to all plastic. So there's, pros and cons to that, right? The metal one, it feels stronger. I'm not about to do any drop tests on these because I do quite like them, but I would imagine this one's a little bit tougher. But being heavier, if you are doing something where every single gram matters, if you're packing for well, I guess you wouldn't really take these on like a backpacking trip, would you? Because once you ran out of batteries, you have to have a way to charge them, but whatever. If weight matters, this one is heavier and this one's lighter. So, that's something to consider. Okay, so you got these things. They both come with a little pouch. They both come with some type of stand to hold it onto this, so you can mount it onto your cold shoe, mount it on the hot shoe in your camera. You can mount it onto a light stand, whatever. So they both got all those accessories. Another plus for the Sokani is it comes with, look at all these pretty gels. It comes with all of these, which is really nice. There's a lot. I think 15. A lot of different colors in there, so I quite like that. And that's definitely one of those, like, it probably cost them pennies more to include this. And you look at the Aputure one and you think, you guys could do that. You could definitely include some more gels in there. That wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt the bottom line too much, so I like that. That's pretty good. So let's get to the part that's really important. Which one is brighter and which one lasts longer? That's kind of important. So when I first fired these up, let me turn this on and see if you have the same reaction. Oh, same reaction I did before that. Sorry, I forgot about this. We need to look at let's do this as an overhead view. The LED panel on the back of the Sokani, this is really nice. So when I turn it on, press and hold to turn this on, it boots up, it says Sokani, and then it shows a brightness level, 100% brightness, and it shows a battery level charge. Let's do a close-up here. You can see that a little more clearly. The battery is about half charge right now. And you'll notice the light's not on yet. So I powered it on by pushing and holding. I just pushed it again to turn it on, and now it's on. And so to change the brightness, just like on the Aputure, you have little plus and down buttons on here. So I'll hit the down button, and as I just touch it, you see it goes in 1% increments. If I press and hold it, it'll go in 10% chunks. So that's cool. I like the LED. I really like that. So you see your brightness level, and more importantly, you see your battery level. Like the battery level is really critical. Brightness level is convenient if let's say you're setting something up and you go, okay, this is the perfect setup when it's at 43% and you want to recreate that. That's handy. But otherwise, just knowing, I guess, that you're kind of halfway there is kind of handy. I wouldn't call seeing the brightness percentage a critical feature. It's a nice to have. But having the battery level on there, that is definitely good. On the Aputure light, you have, let's go back to this, you have your on and off switch, you have a, let's get this in focus here, on-off switch, you have a plus and minus to change the brightness, but there is no digital readout. So the only LED light that's on here is hidden somewhere, I forget, it's somewhere in here. It comes on when you're charging it, and that's basically it. So, you know, it's a status light for charging, that's it. You don't know when it's getting low on battery until it kind of goes out. So that's, you know, that's a win for the Sokani. But now let's get into the really important stuff, shall we? By the way, if you're wondering, his comments about my scale on here, you guys got to get your minds out of the gutter. Questions, if you have questions, put them into the live chat. We will bring these up afterwards. We'll do a quick little Q&A afterwards, but I see what you guys are talking about over there. Gosh, coffee, it's the scales from my coffee. Anyway, so when I first turned this thing on, I thought, you know, this light is not as bright. Let me do this. Let's do the overhead. And let's see, and you're not gonna be able to see this on the camera, you really aren't. But I turn this thing on and I crank this one up all the way. Let's get this all the way up to 100. And so now we know, there it is, now it's at 100. And I crank this one on and turn this guy on and cranked it up all the way. And so that you don't really know when it's at 100 until, you know, it just stops getting brighter. And I thought, ooh, looking at these, yeah, you probably can't tell there, but looking at these to me, the Aputure absolutely seems brighter. There is, in my mind, there's no question. The Aputure is brighter. But here's how funny these little fickle things can be. Remember how I pointed out that the Aputure has fewer LEDs? It turns out that these fewer LEDs, they are actually larger. They're probably twice the real estate of the little ones on the Sokani. But these individual LEDs are significantly brighter, to the point where these two lights put out a virtually identical amount of light. I went into a totally dark room. I put the camera on manual aperture, manual shutter speed, and auto ISO, and just turned each light on, pointed the camera to gray card, turned each light on, put it in the exact same position, and they both set the exact same ISO, which I thought was quite interesting. Okay, so it feels brighter because these little intense dots are brighter. Each one of those is brighter, but there's 21 on here, 9 on here, do the math. Turns out that they are actually putting out the same output. Okay, so now we're neck and neck, so this is pretty good. So now, how long do they last? That is going to be the really interesting part. So I set these up last night. It was a very exciting time lapse. I set these up, turned them on, set up a camera to take a picture every minute, and put up a clock next to it and walked away. Now, one of the competitive advantages that Sokani says they do is something in their electronics, manage to keep this at full brightness until it goes off. So you're going to have 100% brightness, or whatever your brightness is set to, but consistent brightness until the very end, and then it's going to go off. They told me that the Aputure light doesn't do that, and so that it will get dimmer and dimmer as time goes on. Interesting. Very good point, right? Good to know. So that was part of this test as well. What happened? Well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pull up my Lightroom catalog that has these pictures in it, which is going to be a very exciting time lapse to see. I'm telling you right now, this is compelling footage here. And let's go to the very beginning, and you'll see how I set this up. So let's just go nice and full screen on here and hide all this other stuff. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see that. Okay, so I started the test at 7 p.m. You see both lights. They are, again, as I said, same brightness. Let's not comment on the fact that I failed to focus on the screen up there. We don't need to worry about that. And I go through and I take a picture every minute. So there's 10 minutes in, 16 minutes in, and 25 minutes in, and neither of them have changed yet, and 33 minutes in, and 39 minutes in. We're still good. And there's 44 minutes in. Okay, 44 minutes, you ready? And then here we go, 45, boom. That bigger one, the one on the left, that one, of course, is the Sokani. So the Sokani went out, we're going to call it at 44 minutes. So somewhere between 44 and 45, we're going to call it at 44. And if I go back through these, you will see, as Sokani said, true to their word, the light does not change value. So I'm flipping through these pictures, that light does not change value, at least not in any perceptible way here. So that's great. So true to the form, as they said. Okay, now let's keep on going. So there's the point where it switched off. So there was 45 minutes was the first one off. And then we keep going. And the Aputure's still on. And the Aputure's still on. And the Aputure's still on. The Aputure's still on. And at this point, if you look closely, you can see it start to dim a little bit. So 15, we're good. 16, 17, 18. Ooh, look at that. Can you see that difference? Between 18 and 19, dimmed slightly. Slightly dim, slightly dim, slightly dim, slightly dim. Now it's still gonna, and then off. So essentially, over the last 6 minutes of its life, it dimmed. But only the last 6 minutes of its life. The total time on this, what was it? Well, here we go. What did I say? I wrote them down so that I didn't have to look it up earlier. The total time the Sokani gave us 44 minutes at full brightness and then just died. The Aputure gave us an hour and 17 minutes, or 77 minutes total. It went dim at an hour and 23 minutes, or 83 minutes. So at 83 minutes, it started to dim. So it was just the, sorry, swap those. 77 minutes it started to dim, 83 minutes it went out. So the last 6 minutes it was fading out, that's it. So you had 77 minutes, almost double, nearly double. So now, that's a tough one, right? So at this point, when you're comparing the two, you're going, well, bigger and heavier, possibly stronger. Comes with all these color gels. Very convenient, but let's face it, a couple of bucks at the thrift store and you can have all these too. Same accessories, same cases. Do like the fact that you get 2 solid covers, magnetic covers for the Sokani light, but not really a big deal. The fact that the battery lasts almost half of what this one does, my money's on the Aputure one. My money's on the Aputure one for this one. So there you go. I was getting close. I was at the end, and before I did that test, I'm going, ooh, I kind of, kind of like the build on this one. That might be it. But given the most important part of it, how long the battery lasts, that goes to this. Plus a little bonus information here. Once they were both dead, so I came in this morning, obviously they're both dead because they've been on all night, running a little time lapse. When I plugged both of them into USB, the Aputure light came on instantly. Instantly. The moment I plugged it in, the light was back on to full brightness. The Sokani took several minutes before it would actually power up. So right there, you've got a situation where if you want to be using this in a studio environment and you don't want to be working on battery power, you just want to plug this into the wall, you can do that. I mean, you could do that with both of these, plug them into the wall, but if you weren't plugged into the wall, this one dies, then you plug it in or plug it into a battery pack, you know that it's going to come on instantly. This one is not. So as much as I like this light, it is a very nice light, the Aputure is going to win on this one. So don't usually do comparisons here, but I thought this was a good opportunity to do them because they are so similarly identical. So there you go. So if you decide to buy either of these lights, needless to say, there is a link down below. I would most certainly appreciate you using my affiliate link down below. That would be very nice. And speaking of that sort of thing, if you find value in this show or any other show, we would most certainly appreciate if you were able to head over to PhotoJoseph.com/support and consider supporting the show in any one of the number of ways that we have there for you to do that. Also, hey, anybody want to come to India? We're going to India in January and February of next year, PhotoJoseph.com/India. It's a big India workshop. It's going to be all kinds of fun, and that is somewhere I would love to see some of you joining us on for that photography workshop. Okay, I see a couple of questions coming by, so we are going to jump into a Q&A. We will be right back for that. Good morning and welcome back to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, the Q&A portion of the show. We were just comparing the Sokani LED light to the Aputure LED light. If you somehow missed that show and are watching this, go back first, watch that, because that's the important part. You get all the good meat. And here we're just talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. Let's see if we can answer some questions on here. Pulling up my Q&A. Let's see what's going on here in the chat. People saying good morning and hello. Oh, Jake giving me a hard time about the micro scale. Excellent. You'll have to watch the show to understand what that's all about. And Mike, we were talking about have you abused your M9 LEDs. That would be the Aputure ones. The AL-M9 is the full model number on there. For years, they do not disappoint. Favorite part is powering them all day from external batteries. There you go. But he's going to try out the Sokani. Well, there you go. See, that's, so you got advantages, disadvantages of each. And Nick Bogart had a great question. Any weather seal rating like IP67? No, not that I've seen, and I'm just going to flat out say there's no way, because look at both of these. Let's go for the close-up camera here. This is, oops, where's the focus point? There it is. This is an actual hole. Like those are, or you can see as I pivot it. So this would fill up with water like a miniature swimming pool. This one, that's interesting. This one could, because that's a full plastic cover. Here the LEDs are actually exposed. This one they're not, but they certainly didn't say anything about weather sealing in all of my communication with them. So I'd be very, very surprised if that was something that they had and left out of their communique. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say most likely no. I can't guarantee 100% that there's no weather sealing, but I think they'd talk about it if there was. So we're going to go with no on that one. Burns is talking about the powering of it. So he's saying, okay, that makes sense. Burns is saying that the Aputure light works off of pass-through charging, meaning that it's the USB power is powering the light as well as charging it, whereas the Sokani is essentially running off of the battery itself only, meaning the battery has to get charged up. The reason for that becomes clear when you watch the actual video. We talked about when I plugged it in when they were dead, it took a moment, it took a few minutes before the Sokani to turn on, whereas the Aputure came on instantaneously. So there's that. Cool, very good points. Yeah, thank you for elaborating on that. Yeah, that's the only questions up there. If you guys have more questions, get them back in here real quick before we take off. Oh, Construction Podcast, and don't forget, please do put PhotoJoseph in front of your question. That way I know it's a question. Construction Podcast, though, is saying, in regards to your previous show, okay, could you compare the Pearl Mini with the Blackmagic ATEM Television Studio HD with the Web Presenter and HyperTech Studio Mini bundle? Yikes. That's a lot of comparisons, a lot of gear I'd have to get. Well, here, let me tell you what. I had already asked Epiphan, makers of the Pearl, about doing comparisons, and they have started putting together comparison charts to compare the features. I think they had those in there. I don't remember. I'd have to look back. Anyway, that's something that they're working on, which the formats that they were showing me were very nicely polished, so I'm imagining this is eventually going to be for their website once they're done. But I will make sure that those are on the list, because I'm not totally sure if they are. And offhand, I don't really know what either of those are doing, because I haven't used either of those. What I will say is that in all the comparisons that I've seen so far, the big wins for the Pearl were using more inputs, right? It has 3 inputs, it can use all of them at once. Most of the devices only have 2 inputs, and even one of the I don't remember which it was, that had 3 inputs, could only use 2 of them at once. It couldn't use all 3. Plus the ability to stream to multiple locations at once and simultaneously record multiple streams was a pretty big win on the Pearl. Pearl's a nice device. It really is. It's very robust. And if you haven't seen that, we'll link to that up here. You can go back and watch the Pearl Mini tour that I did on what was that, Wednesday. It's a higher priced device for encoding, streaming, doing your layout switching, but I think well worth it. A very, very nice product. Tactical Toolbox says, off topic, okay, do I foresee, I'm imagining that's supposed to be a D, do I foresee Panasonic integrating AF autofocus in the VFR mode in future updates of future cameras? I don't know why we don't get, for those of you who don't understand what he's saying, VFR is variable frame rate, so that's the high speed / slow motion shooting mode. On Panasonic cameras, for a reason that I don't know, we don't have autofocus while in VFR modes, whereas some cameras, I think the Sonys, I believe, do. I don't know why there isn't autofocus in there. I don't know if it's a processing power issue. I don't know if, I just don't know. So, unfortunately, the answer is I don't know. I would imagine that's the kind of thing that they would like to do, so if they didn't do it, it's for a reason. It's not like they just forgot, which probably means that it's not something that could come in a firmware update. Given that we've had multiple firmware updates for the GH5 and the GH5S, I very seriously doubt that's something that will come in the future. Maybe on a next generation camera. Again, since I don't know why it can't be done or it isn't being done, maybe that's something that can be done in the future. But by all means, make that request publicly known. And I know it's out there. I mean, people in the forums and videos are always talking about that. That's one of those kind of, come on, why isn't that there type features. Just, be vocal about it as you are right now, and hopefully we'll see that in a future update. But unfortunately, since I don't know why, I can't speak to whether it would come or not, or whether it would be even technically possible. Burns is saying there's no mention of any IP rating for either product, so yeah, you'd say no to both. Good. I'm glad you agree with me. Yeah, IP ratings are a big deal, so if you've got one, you're going to talk about it. So yeah, that's, like I said, this one's all open. If you're just talking about dirt and dust, given that this one doesn't seem to have any big openings, this is the Sokani versus the Aputure that does have big openings, I would say that the Sokani will be better in a dirty environment, but rating-wise, it doesn't seem to be one for either. Construction Podcast asking any wishes on the upcoming Panasonic firmware update. Oh, I have many wishes. I always have wishes. The only thing that I would say I still really, really wish that we had, and I have asked for it multiple times, is a better indicator that you are actually recording. Because the Panasonic flashes a red recording light on the LCD as opposed to just a constant light, it is easy to not know if you're recording or not. You push the record button when you're not looking at the screen, and then you glance down, and it just happens to be in an off state, and it was already recording, but you don't think it was, so you hit the button again, and now you just stopped recording. it has happened to me and it's happened to others. So I've requested that along with a constant light, along with a red box. If you've ever used an Atomos recorder, you've seen when you hit record, you get a big red box outline all the way around the screen. It's a transparent overlay, so you still see the stuff behind it. I have requested that because that would allow you to see it without a question that it's recording. Plus, it would allow you to see it from across the room. Because I often do things where I have my camera set up and like filming myself, and I'm on the other side of the room, and I'm either triggering it with a remote or a long cable, and I push it and I go, I think it's recording. So I really want that feature. So that is my #1 feature request for a future firmware update. I keep asking. I keep on asking. Let's see here. It's Burns, Texas. It's hard to hear the sound of crunching debris in the micro USB port. Yeah, both of these have open micro USB ports for charging. So yes, you would. If you had sound in there, you would definitely get a little bit of crunchy. Okay. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I hope that was interesting and educational. Again, if you decide to buy either one of these lights, I would appreciate if you use my affiliate links down below. That is always appreciated. And at the end of the day, I mean, they're both great lights. I've been using the Aputure one for a while. The Sokani obviously is the newer one to me. They both put out great amount of light. Longer duration, as we saw on the Aputure, but they do both put out very good amount of light. And I don't have a way to measure quality. I don't have a way to do a what do you call that? A Q? No, it's a Q. Anyway, you know what I mean. The rendering quality index, whatever that's called. I don't have a way to measure that, so yeah, I don't know which one's supposed to be better there. But everything I've seen looks pretty good. All right, guys. Oh, okay. Here we go. One more. We're gonna pull this up. Burns says, I wish the GH5 didn't have the audio clip at the very beginning of recording. It's not a huge deal, but annoying when coming from the GH4 and having to remember to stay quiet at the start. Audio clip. I thought you were, when I first started reading, I thought you were talking about the very silent first quarter second or so that's at every clip. Audio clip at the beginning, not a huge deal, but annoyingly coming from the GH4, have to remember to stay quiet. I don't know quite what you mean, Burns, because the GH4 also has the silence at the beginning. CRI index is the coloring rendering index. Thank you, Burns. That's what I was, not quality index, color rendering index. Thank you. Okay, so Burns is talking about the silence of the recording, but the GH4 did the same thing, didn't it? I'm pretty sure. It's been a while now, but I'm pretty sure that GH4 did that as well. Yeah, I know it is. That little weird, very, very short part in the beginning where it's silent. I don't quite understand. Burns says yours didn't. Okay, maybe mine didn't either, and I'm just misremembering. I don't know. Hey, okay, if you guys, I gotta get better. I should have asked this question at the end of the original video, but let's ask this question. What LED lights are you using? If you're using either of these, let me know. If you're using another one, let me know. There's, I'm sure, lots of other little LED lights like this on the market. These are the only two that I have played with. I'm happy to do more comparisons. So if you guys know of more of them out there that you love for any good reason, don't tell me to go test one that you know is a piece of crap. There's no point in that. But if you know there's some good ones out there that you think could stand up to these, especially to the Aputure, let me know, and I'll do that. Okay, we're out of here, folks. Take care of yourselves. We are going to call it a day. It is a Friday. It is time for a weekend, which means it's time for me to get back in here and finish up my other project. Hey, take care of yourselves. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.